So I think it's important to remember that everyone is new. Everyone has been new. So if you're looking ahead to someone that has achieved success in their domain, they were new at one point in time. So if you can remind yourself of that, hey, this person who I respect and admire, they were once new, and then you can um, ground yourself. It gives a lot of confidence to know that, hey, it's okay to be new. It's okay to be learning, and that just happens to be an area where I excel. I love being new. I love being in a stage where I don't know anything and I have to achieve this huge amount of knowledge and skill and expertise, and that's kind of a sweet spot for me. So it suits me well. And now at this point, I do feel you know much more like the actual expert in
Hmm.
sales, even though of course I have lots to learn and I'm always learning.
Hmm. Yeah. We were working with a client named Darius Daniels, Dr. Darius Daniels Ministries, and he had a really good quote the other day and something he's been doing great things for his community there. And he told the people, he's like, listen, if you want to be great at something, you got to be okay being mediocre at it for a while. Because nobody starts off being
Yep,
great. You need to be okay with that because it'll take a little bit of time. Tell yourself that, okay, I'm not going to be great for a while, but I'm going to achieve greatness over time.
absolutely, totally agree.
So in doing this position, head of sales, procuring sales teams, and you've been working a lot with kind of like international people and probably a lot of turnover finding the right salespeople. What's something you learned or taught so far?
One of my core values is extreme ownership. I mean, it's something that I truly believe. And Karen and Savannah, you probably hear me like bring this up on
Mhm.
leadership team meetings. But I really deeply believe this, that anything negative that happens on my team is my fault. I like truly deeply believe that. So where that leads me is I'm constantly asking myself the question, like, what have I done to create this problem? And like, without fail, I'm the common denominator in that. It really does go to the top. But by taking ownership and by asking that question, I'm able to diagnose the problem really quickly and then course correct just as fast, if not even faster. And I do think that that's one of the things that has led to the extremely fast growth and revenue generation of this team. And then it's also something that I pass down onto my whole team.
Hmm. And how do you keep your sales team culture alive and well?
It just comes from a place of genuine care and concern for their personal development and their professional development. I spend an immense amount of time with them, individually and as a team. And, I mean, it's just truly just spending a lot of time, and they know that I'm trustworthy. There's trust going both ways. That's really it.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Savannah, you got anything?
I was just gonna bring up noting on you like feeling personally responsible for things that come up. Something that I noticed in our like leadership check-ins and everything is that you'll like be apologizing for things that the team doesn't even know has been happening behind the scenes. And at first I'm like, Jeff, like don't throw yourself under the bus. But at the same time, like you said, because of your ability to do that, you kind of look under the hood, as soon as you notice that something's up. And then so by the time that you're presenting it to the team, like you have fixed the issue
Yeah.
before the team even knows that it's an issue. So I think that that lifts so much weight off of the visionary because they know that they can trust you that like stuff is working. Like you're going to notice that something's broken even before he does and it's going to be fixed. And so he doesn't even have to like be stressed about it. So I think that that's I imagine it's a huge weight on your shoulders, and so I don't like that makes me worry for you, but at the same time beneficial for the company.
It's actually it's very freeing. Yeah, it's the opposite. It's very freeing. I think that um, to just kind of like baseline live with like a lot of undiagnosed like problems that have like undiagnosed uh, like causes can cause a lot of tension and a lot of stress. But if you can, and you like don't know, and you're kind of like afraid to look under the hood, and you don't really know, oh, this is going wrong in the business, or this is going wrong on the team. Why is that? If you don't take the time, or you're afraid to examine it, that leads to stress. It leads, yeah, just to fear. But if you face it, really look into it, and accept the ownership, and you're part of it, you can address it, and overcome it, and move on better. So yeah, to me, it's the exact opposite.
Well,
Yeah.
good. That makes me feel better because I worry really hard sometimes when you bring the
That's
things
very
up in
kind.
meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, how do you turn that culture you've created into hiring the right people that also are going to fit in with your vision, the company's vision, and what they're expecting from salespeople? Because it might be a new concept for people with sales experience to try to be more heart centered.
It's very different. It's very different than a typical, like sales recruiting process. The majority of what I'm doing in a recruiting cycle is really just looking at culture fit. And every business does this. Every team does this. Obviously, it's extremely important. But in this industry, it's pretty easy to find skilled sales professionals. I mean, it really is. There's no shortage of skilled sales professionals. There's so much great information out there. There's so many people that have worked for amazing businesses, and so that's not the hard part. The hard part is finding someone that is willing to do sales a different way. And willing is actually not even the right word. Someone that's excited to do sales a little bit differently, a little, kindler, gentler is what we say, because it is different and it takes a different psychology. And the sales, cycle might be a little bit slower than they're used to, but that's okay. We're serving people at a super high level, and that's what really excites us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if do you think there's like a formula you could put in place that's, this is key to finding the right person that fits us, or is it even more hard based than that?
I mean, I definitely have conversations that I'm having in a recruiting process that
Mm-hmm.
I use those conversations to try to uncover, if someone is going to be a good fit or not. And a lot of things I look at's really like surrounded or like about empathy. That's super important. Um, to be able to empathize with this future student, where they're at, the hardship that they are currently facing, and we really lead with empathy. And I think typically, people, sales professionals, have not like authentically integrated that into their sales processes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that is super important to me in a recruiting cycle is, we'll have a conversation that's focused around that, and kind of, uncovering like, do they have the capacity for that?
Yeah. And we interviewed somebody on our team a couple weeks ago that does recruiting for people. And one thing I've noticed with companies I work with is, you can recruit all sorts of different types of people for jobs within a company just by getting somebody else to do the main lift. But what I've seen with people with sales teams, that's almost never the case. You're never getting an outside person to bring you an awesome salesperson. That's almost something you like to keep in your seat because there's a lot more nuances to what you want out of a salesperson. Is that kind of accurate to how you run it?
It is. So we do work with a recruiting agency,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the kind of the guidance that they have from me is obviously culture and skill. And so
Mm-hmm.
everyone that we get is skilled. Everyone that I'm talking with, they're highly skilled, and they're like they're a baseline culture fit. They understand what they do. They're excited about what we do, and then really like my role in that is like it's taking it to the next level and going much deeper.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Savannah, anything else on that before we move on?
Just leading with empathy. It's also interesting to me, kind of going back to you have like a certain idea of what sales teams are and how they operate. And I think what's so interesting and amazing is that your team does work in this different way than we're used to seeing sales teams work. And you guys are hugely successful, which I think just kind of shows like what people actually want when they're buying products. And people, I think, have just kind of like gotten used to dealing with sales the way that it has been for so long that they don't know that it can be better. And I think that companies don't realize that it can be better. And so,
Yeah.
like, I hope that lots of people see this and they like see like Rainmaker's success and like can understand that there is kind of like a better way to lead sales and that it is hugely successful. Like you guys are leading with empathy. It's not just like a bros team. You have women on staff more than we typically see on sales teams. It's just I always want to see a wave that just kind of follows the same trajectory that you guys are.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to me. It feels very congruent to to my personal values, and I think that's probably why Stephen and Chelsea tapped me to kind of take this on. And it is interesting because there are not a lot of other teams in this industry that have the same culture and values and emphasis that we have on empathy. And yeah, our way of doing sales is quite different. And when I work with other sales leaders, and talk with them, it's like we are pretty radically different in how we do things,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time we are, radically successful, and are doing pretty huge revenue numbers, in the millions in just a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is validating because we started with this hypothesis of we truly believe that we can run a team this way, but until you do it, you don't know for sure. And it's great to be at a place now where it's like, okay, yep, it hypothesis confirmed, it works, we'll double down and keep going.
Yeah. So let me follow that up with, stuff that's working, but as you spent this last 14, 15 months getting there, what was your biggest hurdle? Kind of achieve that?
Yeah, the biggest hurdle was when we started to really gain momentum, and start doing big numbers, revenue wise, and the amount of like repetitive operations tasks were just absolutely burying me. And that was, so I was, putting out all these fires, all the time, and it was pulling me away from what my time was best spent on, which we've touched on this before, but that is really just spending time with the team,
Mm-hmm.
individually as a team, training, developing personally and professionally. And so it was pulling me away from doing those things, which those things have an enormous, like return on investment, for like the time in, the amount of investment out is just, it's exponential. So I was just getting buried in, operations and admin tasks. And so, hired a team of sales coordinators that have taken on all of those responsibilities for me. So SOP'd all those processes out for them and have very happily handed them off and released them into their charge.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Delegate and elevate.
Yep,
it's beautiful.
absolutely.
I got a quick curveball question for you off the script. Something I like to ask people if we get a chance. It's so what's something you wish Jeff now could have told Jeff 14 months ago as you were just starting? That would be like your biggest piece of advice to you that you've learned over these last 15 months or so.
It would honestly be to hire the sales coordinators faster. Yeah. It would be to hire them faster. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
truly. I think like our growth would have been even quicker, and that type of repetitive task is operations task is like personally draining. It doesn't give me life. It's not what I'm like uniquely like skilled at. I can do it. I can do it just fine, but it's not something that gets me fired up. It's draining. So yeah, it would be to hire those sales coordinators. I hung on to that stuff for too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
That
sometimes it
happens.
can be. What's that?
I said that happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes we could take it a little personally, or it might be a hard decision to come to. If you've been hired for something, to be like, okay, this is my role. I'm taking it on. This is all my duties. Then to turn around and be like, all right, listen, here's some stuff I shouldn't be doing. Like, we might need to hire
Yep.
for this. I'm still going to do all this other stuff, but I can't do it until this is done. And then that's just hard. The whole part of building the team and building the position and building the
Yeah.
process is realizing when you've taken too much on.
It really was the very classic tale that is not unique to me at all, but it's like, it's going to take me so long to hire this person and these people, to recruit them, to hire them, to train them, and then to build the SOPs. I just keep doing it myself. I don't have
Yeah.
time to hire someone. I don't have time to SOP this stuff out. And, obviously I was able to overcome those false beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But, it does take a lot of time to
Mm-hmm.
hire, and to train, but it's 100% worthwhile. Very
Mm-hmm.
worth your time.
Every
Yeah,
time.
it's the fallacy we all fall into is you think it's just
Yep.
quicker for you to do it now than to spend maybe twice as long one time building it out
Yep.
properly so somebody else can do it.
Yep. Yep.
Really easy.
Results that get more results.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, Savannah, any last minute words from you?
Nope. Just we can all relate to that last piece. It's just we
Yeah.
want to hold on to things, and we just got to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Well, Jeff, it's been great. It's really fun to see Stephen and Chelsea Diaz and what they're doing with the Rainmaker family and how key they hold that word family into their business name and all the people they bring on and all the customers that come into the company. They're all considered family. I think you're really showing that well. You're showing their vision well, and they were, a great choice in getting you on board and shooting their company off even further into the future. So we are excited to continue working with the Rainmaker family.
Thank you both. And I will see you on Tuesday.
Yes, for
Yep.
sure. Good to see you all. See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.